Hello, welcome, welcome. Bienvenidos. My name is Pamela, and I'm putting this message out because I know a lot of people, a lot of people have felt kicked in the gut after this last election. You don't know how you're going to survive 4 years of this new administration as and if Project 2025 takes shape. It's going to be very good for some people and very bad for others, especially for those who, like my family, just aren't the right demographic. Now's the time to tie up loose ends before a lot of those institutions we depend on could be dismantled with the new administration. I'm going to tell you 10 things you can do now to have an exit strategy should the stuff hit the fan in the US. Let's hope it doesn't, right? First, let me give you a quick background on me. Almost 2 years ago, I moved from Los Angeles to Mexico, and I now live about an hour south of the border in Mexico. I'm working remotely and I'm saving for my retirement, something I couldn't do in the US. My bills, including my rent, is a quarter of what I was paying in the US. And I rent a 3-bedroom, 4-bath home that is new, modern, and in a gated community. And it costs less than my son's apartment in Los Angeles. Best part is that my backyard is an expansive ocean view. I'm close enough, like I said, to be in San Diego in an hour, hour and 10, depending on traffic. And when I visit my family in the San Fernando Valley, door to door, I can be there in 3 hours if I leave in the morning, like at 5 or 6 a.m. before the traffic hits. So not to mislead you, but frankly, that's what I do. So it's a straight shot. Enough about me. Number one, get your birth certificate, your official birth certificate for you, your spouse, and your kids. This is the certified copy, not the fancy cute one you get from the hospital. It will have an official county registration stamp on it, and it's obtained from the Register Recorder's office in the county of your birth. I'll put the link for the LA Register Recorder's office below. Some of you can obtain it online or some by mail, and some counties require you to go in person. At the time of this taping, the cost in Los Angeles was $32 per certificate. It's always something good to have. Number two, get your real ID at the DMV for identification purposes and just to fly within the US, should you not even decide to come to Mexico, just to move about the country. Right now, they will be requiring everyone to have one by May of 2025. Make the appointment online now, I would suggest, since depending on where you live, there could be a couple of months waiting time. You can only do this in person while you have California residency. So it's something you want to queue up now and check your state for the necessary documents that you're going to need to bring with you. If you already have a passport, you don't need your birth certificate. But if it's your first time getting ID from the DMV, you will need proof of your identity, either a certified birth certificate or a passport. You'll also need your social security number. And there are exceptions to this on the website. And they have an extensive list of ways to show proof of residency. So that's something extremely easy you can do now, getting that appointment scheduled, and check below. Again, for the link. Number three, get your passport. I believe everyone should have a passport. If you have traveled outside the US, you will appreciate having the benefits of a US passport. We are very blessed to have been born in the US. There's no doubt about it. The more you travel, the more that will be real to you. But for your passport, you will need your certified birth certificate, again, to prove your identity, 2 passport photos that you can have taken at any CVS or Walgreens, and they're usually available in most cities. Put in the link below. Number 4, start looking now for remote work or ways to create your position remotely. I recommend this for anyone in order to have more options in life. I know that doesn't translate to every job, but talk to your employer if your job is one that can be done remotely. And if not, there are many corporations now, especially after COVID, and websites that offer remote work to US citizens. You may be competing with people who live all over the world, and their wages are much less than you're accustomed to. I understand that. I would specifically look for ones wanting US citizens. There's certain jobs they're like, oh, this is in a certain state. We want US citizens. And those would be helpful. But keep in mind, if you take less pay, your cost of living is dramatically less. So it's kind of, it's the same. But as a rule, unless you're opening a business, you cannot earn a living wage here to sustain any responsibilities you have in the US. So I'm just trying to prepare you for that. If you work remotely, you're golden. Number 5, this brings me to a very real concern. If you have school-age children, begin the process of signing them up for online school. The schools here all speak Spanish. So to bring your children here and think you're going to integrate them into the school system is not realistic. That doesn't mean as they acclimate and they learn Spanish, they won't be able to go to school here. And some deeper into Mexico, and as you get into like, especially Mexico City and other areas, they have, international schools. So you can send your kids to private school if you need to, where they just speak English. But, personally, I would want to learn the language. I think that's important for anybody. I'm going to put a link below of online school and go to number 6, downsize your belongings. I had 34 years of stuff, and I do mean stuff I thought my kids would want. They moved out. They didn't want it. Start now to sell, donate, or give things to your family members, especially things that have, that have sentimental value. Keep them with your family members. Keep them with your kids if their kids are grown. Start with things you haven't touched in a year and determine if you can sell it. And if you can, put that money aside for a moving fund. Start now, because it is a process to let go of things. And I don't mean just getting rid of it. I mean it up here. If you're lucky enough to own a home in California, and I'll talk about that in later videos, I advocate for you renting your home and using that as a source of income for yourself. Airbnb could be way too taxing and troublesome with people coming and going, but I would say ideally, if you could rent it, long-term rental, it's consistent income. Number 7, this is huge too. Make scouting trips from where you think you may want to go. This is important to do for anybody, especially for me. I had to feel safe. My family needed to know I was safe, and there was community where I was going. There are thousands of people and thousands of communities of Canadians, US citizens, Brits, all nationalities here, and they've been here for years. I used research tools like Google Maps, just takes you right down the street you think you might want to live on, Facebook groups, and asked direct questions of people like myself on YouTube. I think it's so important to learn from people who are doing it, not from people who have not been here. You've got to learn, you've got to understand what works for you. Also, research pet immigration requirements, if applicable. My nephew moved to Costa Rica, and he found out his breed of dog wasn't allowed in the country. It was really hard on his family to leave him behind. From Mexico, they allow you to bring 3 pets here. I drove over the border with my 2 older dogs with proper documentation, which was current rabies vaccinations. And then often I would drive back and forth to my post office box in San Diego with my dogs. But as of August of this year, the US to come back and forth now requires your pet to be chipped and have a CDC import form and their current vaccination. So again, it's not hard to do here. There are so many great veterinarians for a fraction of what you will pay in the US, and very, very good doctors. Number 8, apply for global entry once you have your passport, or when you're applying for your passport. This is a huge time savings, and it can take up to 10 months to get an appointment. I know it's going to feel like a lot of Big Brother oversight. You got to go in for an appointment, and they do a little online, you're just closing all kinds of things on your forms, but once you have it, sign up for the Century program, which allows you to use the expedited line to drive back and forth into the US, which is life-changing. I wouldn't recommend anyone move to Mexico without it, as the lines to go back into the US that are in the general admission lines are hours long at all times of the day. Sentry program's the only way to go. Almost everyone I know that has been here for any length of time has their sentry. It's a little card that you show when you go over the border, and the lines are always so much shorter. Number 9, check into the residency requirements. Most countries want you to be able to demonstrate financial solvency. Mexico, like any other country, have their own citizens to support. They don't want you to be a drain on their economy. So when you read that you must show, as I did when I started to investigate this, 62,000 in the bank for a 12-month period, people have found ways around that. First, you get up to 180 days as a visitor in this country. Within 30 days, you can apply for temporary residency. There is currently a program where you can apply for 2, 3, or 4-year residency if you visited Mexico and have that FMM passport stamp before 2022. It's changing all the time, honestly. Check online. I'm going to put the link below. But if your spouse is a resident or a Mexican citizen, you get residency without financial solvency requirements. Lastly, yes, there are plenty of people who come and go easily over the border by car without ever getting residency, because driving in, no one's stopping your car. No one's and now overstaying this, by this way means you could risk getting deported should you not be here legally. Something the new Mexican president said she is enforcing now that Trump is threatening to deport many Mexicans from the US. Again, I'm going to put that link below so you can see the Mexican consulate requirements. And what I want you to know about that is you have to apply in your county. If you think, oh, it's less money to apply in this city than is in my city, they won't let you do that based on your address. Number 10, last one. Start learning the language of where you want to move. After almost 2 years, about a year and a half, I just started a class online, and what a difference it has made. For me, it feels respectful to the country I live in to speak the language. Why would I expect them to accommodate me? Although in many countries, English is taught in school, Mexican isn't one of them. So I benefit by living in a tourist border adjacent area. So it was simpler for me to get by my limited Spanish. And there's literally thousands of US and Canadian citizens here. I met even an older British couple who've been here for 20 plus years, never learned Spanish, but Google Translate is my friend. Let me close by saying, don't let this list be daunting. It is empowering to be able to have these things handled should you want to leave. Where I live, it is what my nephew calls Mexican Lite, because of the Mexicans and Americans who commute over the border daily for work. And I acclimated easily. I love the culture. It is a less stressful lifestyle. I like supporting the economy here and saving for retirement. Do this. It's empowering.